India versus Pakistan. Cricket Roundtable with Rajdeep Sardesai.
Hello and welcome. The biggest clash of the 2023 Cricket World Cup is finally here. Two subcontinental giants with shared borders but with a relationship that can only be described as tempestuous. The noisy at times neighbors, but neighbors who've shared a very scarred history. Both India and Pakistan have 2 wins each in this tournament, but India has a record of having beaten Pakistan 7 consecutive times at World Cup ODIs. The big question then is, before the largest stadium in the world, the Narendra Modi Stadium in Ahmedabad, kaun jeetega this big match? So first, on our Indo-Pak Roundtable, we're going to bring you a matchup and then speak to the one and only Sunil Gavaskar as to who he thinks will win the big game. So, kaun jeetega Indo-Pak encounter at the Narendra Modi Stadium in Ahmedabad? That's the question I posed to the one and only Sunil Gavaskar. Listen in. Let's start with the big question that's being asked. Who will win the matchup between India and Pakistan? Joining me now is the one and only legendary Sunil Gavaskar. Join me. Appreciate you joining us. Veteran of many an Indo-Pak battle over the years. But I must ask you this. Going into this match, can we say with real confidence, India goes in as clear favourites for once?
Favourites for sure. For the simple reason they played some top-class cricket in the first 2 matches that we've seen. In the first match, the recovery after losing 3 wickets for just 2 runs to go on to win the game. The way their bowlers bowled to restrict a good batting lineup, Australian batting lineup, to under 200. Then again, against Afghanistan, towards the last 10-12 overs when they restricted Afghanistan from getting to 300. And then, of course, Rohit Sharma's 100 and Kohli continuing his form with 2 back-to-back half-centuries. I do believe India certainly are the favourites.
Let's look at man to man, if we can. The openers first. There's a possibility Shubman Gill will play. It's still uncertain. He's gone back into nets. But either way, our top order, Rohit Sharma, Shubman or Ishan if he plays. Virat Kohli, again in good form. Shreyas Iyer, not yet tested. And then KL Rahul with a terrific innings in the first game. Do you believe that we have, let's compare that to the Pakistani batting lineup. Who do you think has the stronger top 5?
I would imagine that, the batting lineup is pretty much even Stevens, despite the fact that Babar Azam hasn't scored runs in the first 2 games. Imam hasn't scored the runs. But Abdullah Shafiq batted really well after Pakistan lost those 2 wickets. And Rizwan at number 4 has been top class. Even in the warm-up game, he got 100 against New Zealand. Here again, in a tough situation, scoring 100. So yes, I think the top 4-5 are pretty much even Stevens, excepting, I think, for the form that Rohit Sharma showed, scoring 130, and the form Kohli has shown. So yes, I think maybe just a little bit as far as India is concerned, looking at the form. But all the batters, whether it's Pakistani or Indian, capable of turning up on the day and scoring big runs.
You mentioned Rohit and Kohli, and many believe that what you need in an India-Pakistan match is people with experience, who've got the idea of how to deal with pressure. Do you believe that gives a huge edge when you have 2 players in form, in home conditions, proven on the big stage, versus the Pakistanis? Relatively, most of their players are new with the exception of Babar Azam, gives India a huge edge.
That definitely does, because what the experience tells you, as we saw in that partnership between KL Rahul and Virat Kohli, after India had lost 3 wickets for 2, the Australians were right on top, was the way they built that partnership. Kohli going and telling Rahul, play this like a test match, because there is the new ball available both ends. The ball was doing something. So yes, it would be caution for the moment. It wasn't that India was chasing 299. Then it might have been, no, let's get going. Or 199, less than 4 runs and over. All it needed was to make sure in the next maybe 3-4 overs, no wicket fell. Then you could, pick the runs off, because frankly, what we have seen is Australia has got these wonderful 3 new ball bowlers. After that, their bowling is easy to pick runs off. So it's a matter of, playing it smartly, which is what they did. And how does one play smartly? With experience. So I think with the experience that the Indian team has, certainly I think they hold the edge.
I wanted to ask you one question always Virat Kohli running between the wickets. You were a great proponent of having batsmen who could take, the singles at the right time. Virat Kohli seems to take runs. Even when he's 60, 70, he's running hard for the second, third run. Have you seen any Indian batsman run as hard as Virat Kohli for a sustained period of time?
Can't think of anybody apart from, say, Mahendra Singh Dhoni. But Dhoni, of course, was batting down the order. Both of them, superb runners between the... But it's not just the running between the wickets. It's the ability to sense when you can steal a single. You can run between the wickets if you have the speed. But to be able to judge who's the fielder, which hand is he going to throw, and therefore is there a risk in going for that run, that is what separates Kohli and Mahendra Singh Dhoni. Because they knew whether it was a risk worth taking. And then they knew that even if it was a risk worth taking, they had the speed to be able to get into the crease.
And it's not just Kohli. KL Rahul, top form. The two late cuts he played of Zampa in the match reminded me of the great GR Vishwanath at his best.
Absolutely.
Do you sense that KL Rahul has arrived in that sense? He's had a lot of criticism, particularly in the red ball game. But in white ball, he's in top form. So that gives us batting depth.
Of course, at number 5, if you have somebody like him, and that is also a huge advantage when you talk about Rahul at 5. Because he's an opening batsman at heart. So even if 3 wickets went, like it went against Australia, you had an opening batter coming into bat at number 5. So he could play the moving ball and then build the innings together. And he's been in some unbelievable form. Look, he was out of the game for about 3-4 months after that injury he sustained in the IPL in May. And when you're at the peak of your cricketing sort of years, that's when you want to be back in action and then make up for the time that you missed. And he's making up for it. He's looking a completely relaxed player, completely different player, and that's good news for India.
On the other side, there's Babar Azam. I know you're a great fan of Babar Azam. Is he the kind of batsman who could score that big 100 and take the match away? That's the one player whom Pakistan has who can actually turn a match.
He can, he certainly can. What he would have been heartened by in the game against Sri Lanka is that despite him failing, he had batters who held the innings together. So that takes a huge load off him. Sometimes when you're the number 1 batter in the team, there is always that responsibility factor where you're thinking, no, I mustn't play this shot because if I get out, there's nobody down the order. So now he knows that there is a Rizwan who can come and hold the innings together. There's a Saud Shakil who can come in and hold the innings together. So I think that will take a lot of pressure off him. And he might be the man that could be the big run scorer against India.
That's the batsman, the bowlers. You've got Shaheen Shah Afridi, Haris Rauf, and Hassan Ali as their 3-pronged pace attack. Bumrah, Siraj, and possibly a Shami. Would you play him in a big match like Pakistan? Do you go all out with your 3 fast bowlers, or do you stick to what we did against the Australians, play 3 spinners, Ashwin, Jadeja, and Kuldeep?
I would pick Ashwin for the simple reason that there's Saud Shakil in the middle order. Now, he's been really the kind of player who's taken Pakistan from a situation where, dire situation to a safer situation. He's the guy that you need a clever bowler against. I'm not saying just because he's an off-spinner who'll turn the ball, against the left-hander. Ashwin is clever. Ashwin tests you mentally as well. And I would want to have him in the team because he can then keep the pressure. And if needed, at number 8, can give you those 20, 30 runs and have a partnership of 40 that can make a difference.
So you're saying play your 3 spinners, go with the 11 virtually that you went with against Australia. But the fast bowlers, do you sense that is, Pakistan always played with their pace attack as their strength. Haris Rauf is a very impressive bowler. Seems to have that old Pakistani jigger in him. Shaheen Shah Afridi slightly off form. Would you say for once, we are going into this match, Siraj Bumrah versus Shaheen Shah Afridi, Hassan Ali, possibly Haris Rauf, as actually the better pace attack as well, which is rare.
I mean, India has had a tremendous new ball attack for the last several years. And Bumrah coming back in the team has been a huge plus because he's now developed the late outswinger. He had the outswinger, but basically it was more in England than anywhere else. Now he's getting the ball to move away on Indian pitches. Look at the wickets he got in both these games. In the initial overs with the new ball, he's got the outswinger going and got the batters out. So he certainly is a big threat, possibly a bigger threat than the names that you mentioned. Haris Rauf, yes, he's got the speed, but it's the speed with which he's going off the bat at the moment. He's going for plenty. So that'll be a worry. Shaheen Shah Afridi hasn't quite got his rhythm. Hassan Ali will be there at you because, again, he's an experienced bowler. So he'll be there at you. But in terms of being a threat, the threat doesn't seem to be as much as if they were playing in, say, England, where there would be a lot more help for their bowlers.
In fact, since we are playing in India, 120,000 people, probably 119,900 will be Indians and about 100 Pakistanis. Does that give us a huge edge, or does that put extra pressure playing at home?
No, it gives you a huge edge because, that kind of support is unbelievable. Yes, what will happen is that there will be just a little bit of pressure when you're just walking in. But at the same time, when you walk in, you realize that everybody is for you. That is just going to ease the pressure on you. You realize that the pressure is going to be on the opposition.
So you're saying home conditions actually make because this has been, the last 3 World Cups, Mr. Gavaskar, has been won by the home team. Do you believe that, therefore, it works both ways? You have extra pressure, expectations, but also knowledge of the conditions. That will make a huge difference.
Absolutely, because you know what the pitch is going to do. You know what kind of dew there might be, because this is going to be a day-night game. So you know what kind of dew. Is it going to be a heavy dew, which will make a difference to your spinners gripping the ball, or even the fielders gripping the ball and throwing? Or is it just going to be light dew where you can manage? So how does that happen? Knowledge of home conditions. You also know which way the wind will be blowing. And so where do you keep, who bowls the 50th over, or who bowls that crucial 49th or the 50th over? So all those factors make a big difference, and that's why home advantage is what you got to capitalize on.
It's India versus Pakistan. I want to take you back in nostalgia. Your favorite India-Pakistan moment as a player?
Has got to be the World Championship final, where we beat them in Melbourne to win the World Championship of Cricket trophy. That's got to be the best, because before that we hadn't played against Pakistan in a world encounter. We would always be in different groups, and we wouldn't qualify.
But you had great friendships with the Pakistani cricketers off the field. So is there the pressure on the team when you're playing Pakistan, or once you're off the field, it's all very well? It's only on the field that the real battle takes place.
On the field. Because, you're against anybody, not just Pakistan, anybody, you're playing for your country. So whatever friendship that is there you might have off the field, that just stays off the field. On the field, you're giving it everything. So no quarter given, no quarter asked for.
Your favorite Pakistani cricketer?
Well, there are several that I know. I would think that I'd like to think Zahir Abbas is somebody who I was part of the same team, rest of the world in Australia. So he and we have stayed friends for such a long time. So clearly, I think, yes, he would be the one now.
I want to tell our young viewers, Gavaskar versus Imran Khan. That was the classic battle. Still remember it?
Of course.
If you ever meet Imran Khan, he's the one who gave you your skull cap, or told you to wear a skull cap, that any ball could injure you. That must have been special, you versus Imran.
It was, because you knew you were playing against a world-class bowler who had pace, who could move the ball both ways. After he went to Australia in 1978 for the World Series cricket, then his action changed a little bit. From the chest-on bowler prior to 78, he suddenly became sideways on, and then, while he didn't quite get the outswinger, he was able to get the ball to at least straighten a little bit. So that made him even more dangerous.
So 5 bouncers and over sometimes at you, but off the field you were friends.
We were friends. I think we were friends because I think we hit off when he was qualifying for Worcester. And so India playing Worcester, we shared a lunch table together.
Final, India to make the finals of this World Cup and win the World Cup. I know you said it's a bit of luck when we met last, but you think India can make the finals as of now? Could it be another India-Pakistan final? Possibly?
Possibly, yes. I'm hoping it's an India to win the finals. I don't care who comes in from the other side, but India certainly has the team. India has the goods, and India look as if they have that fierce desire to bring the trophy home.
Well, on that positive note, Mr. Gavaskar, wonderful to have you here with us, setting the stage for the India-Pakistan big match. The one and only Sunil Gavaskar joining us here on the Indo-Pak Cricket Roundtable. So Sunil Gavaskar predicting an India victory over Pakistan. But what about fans? Over the years, fans have added to the surround sound. Social media has added to the tensions that encircle an India-Pak encounter. Is it therefore, as some suggest, war without weapons? Take a look.
India and Pakistan, two countries divided at birth, united in their love for cricket. They have fought 4 wars, actually many more on the cricket field. India and Pakistani cricket fans are not ready to settle for anything but a win when they play the arch rivals. That makes India versus Pakistan the greatest rivalry in the world of sports. Every win and loss spills onto the streets. Television sets are broken. Effigies and posters are burnt. The advent of social media has given fans new forms of venting anger. Cricketers are trolled viciously.
कसम वाली बात मैं आपको बताऊं, मुझे पता चला कल रात ये लोग बर्गर खाते रहे हैं, कल रात ये लोग पिज़्ज़े खाते रहे हैं, ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ क्रिकेट ਛਡਾਓ ਤੇ दंगल लड़वाओ, इनसे को दंगल लड़े.
India-Pakistan cricket is a war without weapons.
Which brings me to my talking point on the Indo-Pak Cricket Roundtable. The big questions. Has Indo-Pak cricket become war without weapons? Has politics cast a shadow on Indo-Pak sport? Has social media only aggravated tensions between the two countries and its players? Is it still a sporting encounter or a battle of competing nationalisms? Joining us now, special guests. I'm joined by Kirti Azad, 1983 World Cup winner, joins us. I'm joined by Shishir Hatangdi, former Mumbai captain, with us. Sharda Ugra, senior journalist, written several books on the sport. And by Javed Qureshi. He's joining me from Karachi. He's a former under-19 Pakistan captain, toured India in the late 1970s. Appreciate all of you joining me here on that war without weapons subject. Let's turn to you, Kirti Azad, first. Do you believe that it is war without weapons, that when you're playing Pakistan, the pressure is almost as if you're a soldier, not a cricketer?
So the hype is basically from the crowd. Once, yes, maybe in the evening before the game, you might feel some little butterflies in your stomach. But then I can give you 2 instances. One, when I was witness to it, I was playing on the ground, was Javed Miandad hitting 6 of the last ball of Chetan Sharma. That is a perfect cricketing shot. Virat Kohli withdrawing himself against Rauf and hitting him straight for a 6. So, you know, the pressure is more outside amongst the people. We have the pressure of when we are playing the bowler, not a Pakistani. We're bowling to a batsman, not to a Pakistani. So generally it is hyped up in such a way as if there is war going on. It's no war. It's a game of cricket that we play.
But are you telling me there's no extra pressure? There is that the pressure of expectations doesn't weigh down on a player in any way?
No, it does. It does. You play any game, there is pressure. Till you get your first run, there is a pressure. Till you middle the ball, there is a pressure. I mean, there is a pressure on the evening before on the eve of the game. There is. You got to perform. I mean, after all, it's your performance that will carry on with your career ahead of you. So it sure is. But if you hype it as much, oh, India and Pakistan, why? Because they're nasty neighbors. And obviously, when you have nasty neighbors, there are a lot of emotions come into people and they start talking about it. Yes, we feel the same. But then once you're on the field, once you're walking on the field, you have a bat in your hand and you're playing the ball, then all those pressure goes away. The pressure of the game is there, but the pressure of that India-Pakistan thing doesn't stay. It only, the pressure only comes if you have lost the game against Pakistan and your house is being stormed.
That's an interesting way to look at it, what could happen after the match. But Javed Qureshi, you captained Pakistan under-19s against India when they came to India in the late 70s. Did you feel pressure, or do you believe it's all happened now? Now, because the surround sound is so much, the pressure is even greater.
When I came to India in '79, there was absolutely no extra pressure. It was a game of cricket between two friendly teams. In fact, we came first from Sri Lanka, where the intensity was much more severe than it was in India. I think obviously things have happened since then, but I would just echo Kirti's point. I don't see this at all as a war. I just see this as a. In fact, I think this brings the countries together. The goodwill that cricket generates is incredible. I've seen so many positive stories about how our team was, welcomed in Hyderabad, how they're being welcomed in Ahmedabad. Yes, of course, it's high stakes because people do hype it up, but I don't see this as war. I really don't. I just think this brings out the best in people. It brings out the best in the players. And the players, they have a lot of regard for each other. There's a lot of respect for Indian cricketers going back 30 years, 40 years, and certainly even today. And I think it's vice versa. There's tremendous skills, respect for each other. So, I think this is just unnecessarily built up to be other than something that's quite wonderful.
Shishir Adandi, you're there in Ahmedabad, and many believe that Ahmedabad, in a way, is, it'll be politically surcharged. It's the capital city of Gujarat, which is the Prime Minister's home state. The stadium is named Narendra Modi. There are very few Pakistanis who've been given visas, so it'll be completely dominated by Indian fans. Do you get a sense that there is a surround sound that you can't miss anymore when it comes to Indo-Pak cricket? Probably because we play with each other so infrequently at the moment.
So, Rajdeep, let me take you back into history a bit. Some of the players before the partition happened in 1947 played for India, whether it was Abdul Hafiz Kardar or Amir Ilahi. They played for India and then they went on to play for Pakistan post 1952. And it starts from there that, how can you play for one country one day and then the other country the other day? There is an emotional quotient from history. There's also an emotional quotient about what happened in 65 and 71, and there was a bit of, there were no bilateral cricket till in the 78 series that we went to Pakistan. So I think, the surround sound is so large, and I can sense it now in Ahmedabad, sitting here, that, the roads are empty. Everybody's heading towards the Motera, the Narendra Modi Stadium, and what I can expect is cricket to be separated from what is happening outside the cricketing ground and the stadium. And this is about emotion, and this is about what's happening across the borders. But given a choice as a cricketer or a cricket lover at the moment, I just think that we need to focus on the game itself and what's happening within those 75 yards. I'm not sure people around will allow us to forget everything and just focus on the game. But I think rather than hyping up the surround sound, we should hype up the quality of cricket that is going to come in a day or two.
Easier said than done, though, Sharda Ugra, isn't it? There was a book, War Minus the Shooting. Mike Marquez wrote it in 1996 when there was a World Cup held in the subcontinent. India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka actually jointly co-hosted it, something which is improbable at the moment. Given the political situation between the two countries, where even the high commissioners are no longer there in the two countries, they've been downgraded diplomatically. Do you get a sense that surround sound surely must pierce through any dressing room wall? The players are being asked, the original question that I posed to Kirti Azad, almost asked to perform as soldiers.
Rajdeep, what you're saying that you said something about Indo-Pak sport. Has it been sort of taken over by politics or kind of kidnapped, or whatever the word you want to choose? It's not Indo-Pak sport. Indo-Pak sport goes on by and large by itself under the radar. Sometimes there were no visas given for some Pakistani shooters to come here. Indo-Pak cricket is the thing that politics latches onto. And I agree with what Javed Saab is saying, that for cricketers, for real cricket fans, it means something else. What has happened, that this match is going to take place in Ahmedabad tomorrow, is a completely separate thing. It's not just any game, because of the fact that the crowd, the crowd, the background, all the rest of it. And hopefully the cricketers have been able to distance themselves from it. They're not taking in too much information that they need to. In the last, say, 10 years, social media has just become very toxic, and you're having these conversations. But if you speak to Indian fans on the street, do you want to see the Pakistani play? They say yes. Yesterday, there was a Twitter feed going on. I'll say this very quickly, saying shame on BCCI, and they were comparing. They were saying that there was an attack in Kashmir, and 3 soldiers were killed, and they're saying so everyone tries to bring in this. They are conflating a cricket team of a country with the government. So I mean, I think as cricketers, I'll ask the cricketers here: would you like to be considered as representative of the party in power, not even government? I'm saying party in power. You may represent the Indian state, you may represent the country, the culture, the people, but you surely don't represent the party in power. And I don't think that pressure should be put on anyone, on any team, but it is being put both on the Indians and on the Pakistanis through social media, and it's very unfair.
Social media is the word that was mentioned just now by you, Sharda, and I want to take that to you, Kirti Azad. When you were playing India-Pakistan cricket and you had a remarkable innings against the Pakistanis, I remember here in Delhi in the 1980s, there was no social media. Now look at what happens. You don't perform. Mohammad Shami had a bad match in 2021 against the Pakistanis. He was attacked. Even his religious identity was attacked, and many believed many of the tweets had come in from Pakistan to try and spread mischief. Now this is how social media works. So is there that extra pressure that comes because you are no longer in a bubble in your dressing room? You're constantly getting these echo sounds from social media.
That's the unfortunate part. Because a player tries to do his best, you want to go ahead. I think there was a catch dropped by Rajdeep in one game against the Pakistanis, and the entire social media went against him. So, this is the unfortunate part. The unfortunate thing in the subcontinent is that, and especially in India, that we have the winning spirit, we don't have the sportsman spirit. If somebody plays better than you and wins, then you should appreciate it. But unfortunately, if something wrong goes somewhere, just even 1% of it, the social media goes all out against you. And that's the worst part. I mean, that makes a demon out of you, as if you're a big demon and you are the Ravana and you should be straight away hanged. So it's unfortunate that you have a kind of a social media which is unfortunately trying to put pressure on the players.
There is, of course, the Pakistan side. And Javed, I want to come to you by playing first a soundbite of the Pakistan Cricket Board chairperson before the team left, Parvez Ashraf. Listen in to what he said, and I want you then to respond in a moment, Javed. Just let's listen in to what Parvez Ashraf said.
मैं खाली पाकिस्तान की हिस्ट्री में इतने पैसे कभी नहीं मिले जितने मैंने इनको दिए, क्योंकि मेरा मकसद एक ही था कि हमारे जितने प्लेयर्स हैं ये मोराल इनका अप होना चाहिए जब ये किसी दुश्मन मुल्क में या किसी जगह भी खेलने जाएं जहाँ कंपटीशन हो रहा है.
जब वो किसी दुश्मन मुल्क में खेलने जाए, enemy country, is this how Pakistanis see this battle now, that we have to in a way fight a jung? And this is not just now. Imran Khan, the famous Imran Khan, the great Imran Khan, also once was quoted as suggesting that when he played India, it was almost like a jihad for Kashmir. Is there that factor or not? And are such words unfortunate, jihad, jung, that are used during such matches?
These are extremely unfortunate words. You have no idea what the backlash was against the comments made by Zaka Ashraf Saab. He was embarrassed. I think he had a bad moment and he was gracious enough to come forward and apologize for his comments. That is not the spirit, and there was tremendous, outcry about this. I think the other thing, Rajdeep, which is very important also to understand is that, there is tremendous legacy respect of generations of cricketers who played with each other, who still remain friends. People like Sunil Gavaskar Saab is revered in Pakistan. 1992 World Cup, he was very supportive of Pakistan. People haven't forgotten. And the cricketing fraternity is like a brotherhood. So, Wasim Akrams, Ramiz Rajas all speak very highly of their Indian counterparts. That filters through down to these players. So, you do have, unfortunate people who angry people who want to see other things. But, the players, the genuine cricket lovers, there's a lot of goodwill for this. And people don't see this. People think this is very unfortunate discussion. And it's really a minority. I will say that again and again. The respect the players enjoy for each other, tremendous.
so you're saying there's a small minority which can, of course, hijack the agenda. But Shishir, is Javed being a bit of a romantic like all of us are? We romance this game. We want this game to be a pure sport. But because, as Sharda put it a little while ago, politicians take over. The politicians expect you to win. They invest a lot in cricketers because they can't resolve India-Pakistan issues diplomatically. They put the pressure on the players.
Well, I think to be asking cricketers to double up for politicians would be asking for too much. Because at the end of the day, it's a game of cricket. And if they want to segregate politics and cricket, it would have been nice to see the greatest captain of Pakistan coming here to watch this big game, Imran Khan, where he is somewhere in prison at the moment. And that would have been a clear indicative that they're able to segregate politics and this great game of cricket. And I'm happy that there are people like Javed, may that tribe increase, because if the game has to be restored, for whatever it's worth, we need more of his ilk in the game of cricket.
But Sharda, that's easy. I come back to it. Easier said than done. We are cricket romantics. We want the sport to triumph. But we've seen what's happened in the past. If a Pakistani team loses to India, the players will be abused, they'll be attacked, and vice versa. Kirti Azad just mentioned Rajdeep dropping a catch and social media just jumped on him. You get a sense that somewhere the players, as I said, are finding themselves in tangles they don't want to be. The Indian team won't travel to Pakistan at the moment, citing security reasons. The Pakistanis got their visas late. There is this problem outside beyond the boundary that we can't ignore.
Absolutely not. But we are cricket romantics for sure. But I must point out something. Numbers also tell a story. When Pakistan and Sri Lanka played that game, and Pakistan's chase started getting tight at the end, and it was getting tense. There were 1 crore connections on Hotstar. That's 10 million families in India were watching this on Hotstar streaming. Only Hotstar streaming. We don't know about everything else. That could be 5 people. 4 people watching, so that's 40-50 million people watching that match, which did not feature India. So when you're thinking about that, you have to say that there is an audience that's looking for this, that wants to see a good cricket match. And another thing to point out is that the fact that the Indian cricket team cannot go to Pakistan has nothing to do with the cricketers. It's the government's decision. The fact that the Pakistani cricket team didn't get visas in time has nothing to do with cricket or the BCCI. It has to do at a much higher level. It's being done deliberately. So, the Pakistani team has been treated shoddily by the Indian establishment. Whatever the BCCI says, to me, it looks like this India-Pakistan seems to be the only match they're invested in. And I keep saying this, that, people in the highest reaches of power, both in cricket and outside cricket in the country, they love Indo-Pak cricket, but they don't want to have Pakistanis featuring in it. It's been a nonsense kind of a reaction. And you cannot blame cricketers for it. The cricketers will find it absurd because they are competitive. Actually, they want to play the Pakistanis. I call India-Pakistan cricket a reassurance building measure between fans. That this is us. This is who we are. It's great that they could come here and meet people and see people after 7 years. Whatever the politics is, it is. Why cannot India and Pakistan play bilateral? Play ICC Test Championship because it's an ICC event. Go and play it in a neutral venue. You need that kind of confidence to come from the board itself. But the board at the moment is sort of owned by a larger political interests. It's a very different cricket board to what it was in 2011, and certainly not like what it was in '96, where 3 countries hosted the World Cup. So the politics of the country has really put enormous pressure on the cricketers and the fans, and it's completely unfair. And social media has just amplified and exacerbated it. It's terrible.
Kirti Azad, there will be those who are watching this show, and in the build-up also we've heard noises that, look at it, our soldiers are getting killed at the border, there's cross-border terror. How can we play a game of cricket? Do you agree with that? And as Sharda says, why can't we play with Pakistan in a test match at a neutral venue? Has politics, because the present government doesn't want to have any deepening relations with Pakistan, influenced the way the cricketers are? If the cricketers were left to themselves, would they want to play against Pakistan, irrespective of what's happening on the border?
Well, there are 2 parts to this. One is when you're playing an ICC tournament, You have to play it, otherwise you lose your membership. You play a T20 or you play a Champions League or you play a Test cricket series or you play this World Cup that we are playing, Cricket World Cup. That is one thing that you have to play. You are obligated to play that. But when you talk about bilateral relations, terror and talks don't go together. And that is one thing I will always as an Indian say, that until unless terror stops, we should not have bilateral with Pakistan. We have had examples like South Africa, the apartheid, the entire world had boycotted them. You had, I think, 1984 Olympics, the complete Moscow Olympics, when the complete Western bloc had boycotted them. So 80 Moscow, yeah. So, you know, there have been instances where people have made a statement against apartheid and other issues which have been very serious. And here, when we talk about India, we are getting soldiers martyred every day, almost every day. And bilaterals, terror and talks, I once again repeat, no.
Okay, you're saying terror and talks or terror and cricket in a way can't go together. Bilateral cricket, Sharda Ugra feels differently.
Yes.
Sharda Ugra feels differently. Javed Qureshi, from a Pakistani perspective, do you concede that as long as there's a hostile situation at the border, how do you play a cricket match in a normal atmosphere?
No, it's look, I respect Kirti Saab's opinion, but I do think that, you know, we should be playing bilateral cricket. It'll bring the countries closer together. Hopefully, it will you know, clear misunderstandings about some fundamental things. And I think by not playing, we continue to, you know, create more tension and create more animosity, and we then give the extreme people in our respective countries ammunition to carry on, and this just becomes a vicious circle. I think we need to break this, but you know, as you said, I'm a romantic. Maybe I'm a bit too idealistic.
No harm being a romantic. We need more romantic. You know, we played this game because we loved it. But Shishir Atandi, do you believe terror and cricket can go together?
Not at all.
Okay.
In fact, cricket's such a small part of what's happening across the borders, you know, and I really believe that, you know, in my own way, I mean, we've lost people on both sides. People have lost families and, you know, brothers and fathers. So to be thinking that, you know, sport is going to bridge that gap, it's going to bring people closer, I think it's a figment of our romantic imagination. It's not going to happen. I know that the ICC events are, in a sense, mandatory for teams to play because there's a lot of money involved. There is broadcasting rights involved. Money has to go to, you know, boards from the revenue that comes in, so they are obliged to play the tournament. But as an Indian or as a Pakistani, I think bilateral series is not the solution to what's happening, you know,
Right.
on those borders. And we need to take that a little seriously. Cricket's a very small part of all this. It's more about the safety of citizens on both sides.
In conclusion, I want to go right round the round table, asking you all your favorite India-Pakistan moment. Sharda Ugra, you start. Over the years, we've seen a lot of India-Pakistan cricket, one-day tests. Is there a moment that stands out for you, Sharda Ugra?
Many moments. What I treasure most during India-Pakistan matches, if I'm reporting on them, is to be able to meet my Pakistani colleagues from across the border, to joke, to laugh, to share gossip. That is what to me is the most enjoyable part of it. And I just wanted to say something is that, you know, say that terror and talks do not go together, but then everything should stop. No, why are you having trade? Why are you having, you know, teams from going across the border and coming from the other side? Why is that happening? Why is cricket always used as currency? You know, cricket is used as currency. So, and it happens all the time. Of course, there needs to be, and terror on both sides, people have suffered, like she said, quite eloquently.
You know, unfortunately, even trade has stopped post in the last few years, post Pulwama. But I take your larger point that why is cricket the soft target? But your favorite moment, you said, is just getting the press persons of the two countries talking to each other in the press box. Kirti Azad.
Cricket about the boards, yeah, mostly.
Sure. Kirti Azad, do you have a favorite moment on the field? What's your favorite Indo-Pak cricket moment?
There's so many of them. I mean, my personal performance here in the day-night game against Pakistan, it was 75 for 7, chasing 197, needed about 100 odd runs in 11 or 12 overs, and it was 4 or 5 runs those days were a hell of a lot. And ultimately, I managed to hit 4 sixes, got it till the end, won by 1 wicket in the last over. So, personally, that was a great moment for me. That was immediately after the World Cup. The first game, first day-night game, that also against Pakistan, which we were losing.
Okay, then we will remember that day, of course, of Kirti Azad smashing the Pakistani attack. Javed Qureshi, what is your favorite moment in India-Pakistan cricket?
Rajdeep, it's got to be Javed Miandad asking Dilip Doshi for his room number. We have watched that hundreds of times. I still continue to watch it. To me, it is just unbelievable that is what was going on. And I'm quite friendly with Javed, and he gives me some inside information on that, which is even more funny about how some people were winding him up, saying go and keep doing it. To me, that's priceless. It's absolutely priceless.
I just want to tell our younger viewers, this was Javed Miandad asking for a room number of Dilip Doshi, the left-arm spinner, because he kept saying, I'm going to hit you in where your room is in the hotel. And that's what really got under Dilip Doshi's nerves. But it showed that sort of humorous tinge amidst the sort of tension around an Indo-Pak match. But Shishir Attangdi, in conclusion, what's your favorite Indo-Pak moment?
Well, my favorite moment, Rajdeep, will be the day after I got married. I was on honeymoon, and I decided to postpone my honeymoon because there was a certain gentleman called Kirti Azad who was tonking the ball over the park, and I told my wife, cricket comes first. I wasn't very popular after that, I can tell you, in my house. And but that innings was something that stood out in my life.
Okay, so you postponed your honeymoon to watch Indo-Pak cricket. That's perhaps the magic of the match. At the end of the day, we of course fiercely wear our patriotism on our sleeve, but we enjoy a game of cricket. And that's what hopefully makes Indo-Pak cricket so special. Thank you to my guests for joining me. As promised, I'm going to bring you my top 5 India-Pakistan cricket moments that I have witnessed. First, I want to start with what I call a special mention. This came exactly a year ago when during the World T20, the one and only Virat Kohli hit a 6 of Haris Rauf, Pakistan's fastest bowler, at the world's biggest ground, the Melbourne Cricket Ground, hit him over his head, followed it with another 6 to take India to an inspiring victory. That shot of Virat Kohli will stay in my memory, so it gets a special mention. At number 5, let's turn to my 5th moment first of India-Pakistan cricket. Well, it comes when India beat Pakistan in the final of the World Championships way back in 1985. That's right, Sunil Gavaskar was the captain of that team. Pakistan batted first to score 176 for 9. India won the match easily by 8 wickets. Krish Shrikant and Ravi Shastri stitching together a century partnership. Shastri won the Man of the Series award in an Audi car. Gavaskar was the captain of the team and then decided he would never captain India again. Another star of that team, Lakshman Shivramakrishnan. India winning a big ODI tournament is my 5th moment because they beat Pakistan in the final.
There it is, victory for India. Well played.
Let's turn now to my moment number 4. Who can forget that Sachin Tendulkar shot? The little master slashing a Shoaib Akhtar bouncer over points for 6 runs. India was chasing 270 for a victory in the 2003 World Cup. India won by 6 wickets. It came against the backdrop of what had happened in Kargil, high tension on the border, but it was nothing quite like what we saw on the field. Sachin scoring a magical 98. Okay, let me turn now to my 3rd favorite moment. The Australasia Cup final in 1986 at Sharjah. This time it was Pakistan who needed 4 runs off the last ball. Chetan Sharma bowled the last over, and of the last ball, a full toss, Javed Miandad hit it for a 6. Many believe it was the shot that was the wealthiest shot in world cricket because Javed was then celebrated by Pakistanis across the world. And it took many years for us to bury the ghost of Sharjah. It was an incredible shot in a high-tension game.
India and victory.
That shot still gives Indian cricket fans nightmares. My moment number 2 of Indo-Pak cricket. The year is 2004. India beat Pakistan 2-1 in the Test series in Pakistan. The first time we did that in that country. And in the first test in Multan, Virender Sehwag became the Sultan of Multan. He scored a triple century, the first triple century by an Indian, that too against Pakistan. And the fact was that that series was incredible because, again, India found itself on Pakistani conditions, taking on the Pakistanis and winning. A famous newspaper headline that day called Sehwag, as I said, the Sultan of Multan. But my favorite moment has to be this. The Chennai Test of 1999. India was chasing 271 in the second innings for a famous victory. We kept losing wickets. Sachin Tendulkar almost took us in the company of Nayan Mongia to a famous victory. Tendulkar himself scoring 136. But once he was out, the Indian team collapsed. India lost by just a handful of runs. But that's not the story. The story for me was the manner in which the Chennai crowd then gave a standing ovation to the victorious Pakistani team. I have never seen that in either Pakistan or India, a team being cheered, a rival nation's team being cheered like this. I salute the crowd in Chennai. I hope that we will see many more such moments where cricket can triumph over politics and the divides between people.